Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of some Homer. So I'm reading some selections from Iliad Book 2, and I got up to line 76. So at this stage, Agamemnon has outlined his plans, his scheme to try and get the Achaians to continue fighting. So Atoi hogos apen kat ar hesdeto. Well, Atoi is just A plus toi. But then he, having spoken thus, you see the accent on hos, the kata goes with the headseto, and the ara is the usual accordingly. So accordingly he sat down. But then he, having spoken thus, he sat down. Toiside aneste. Now the next page, Nestor is the subject of this. So Nestor stood up for them, and Nestor Hos, who was, now the ra again is hard to translate here, it just again means accordingly, perhaps almost who was in fact almost here, the lord of Sandy Pylos, who was the king in Sandy Pylos. And he, now it's euphroneon participle, being thinking good, thinking kindly towards them. So thinking kindly, agasato, he addressed them, spin probably for spisi, and he said, O philoi, O my friends, hegatores e medontes, leaders and rulers. This is a noun from hegotor, connected with hegeomai, to lead, and this is a participle from medo, to rule. So leaders and rulers of the Argives. Amen tis, I like this line here, Amen tis tononeron Achaion alos enispi pseudos ken phaimen kai nospidzoimathamalon. If a certain other man of the Achaians, enispe is from enepo, it's a very common form from enepo, to speak or to tell. So if anyone else among the Achaians had told of this dream, Phaimen ken, we would say that it was spudos, it was a lie, and nospidzoma is to turn one's back on someone. It's and all the more, and we would all the more turn our backs on it. I think the phaimen here is an optative from phami. So if someone else among the Achaians had told about this dream, we would have said, or perhaps thought or said, it was a lie, and we would have all the more turned our backs. Nunde, but now, the one who is the Aristos, the best of the Achaians, mega, greatly, this is an adverb here, the one who is greatly the best greatly of the Achaians, eukatai, well, it can have a meaning of pray or to boast, and probably boast here. So he boasts. But now the one who boasts to be the best by far of the Achaians, Aden, from without augment, saw it. So this bit all goes together. So but now the one who boasts, from euchomai, boasts to be the best of the Achaians greatly, he saw it. Al agete, but come. Now it's if perchance we might arm. It's that the verb is thoreso. We've seen it several times here. Thoreso, to arm, to put a breastplate on. So if perchance we will, and it with ken, it probably is a subjunctive, but with a short omicron here. If perchance we might arm the sons of the Achaians. So the come, lead on almost, if perchance we might arm the sons of the Achaians. Allah by itself at the beginning often translates as come. So come, lead on, off we go, if perchance we might arm the sons of the Achaians. Now the next section, which is lines 84 to 141, here the rank and file are gathered, and Agamemnon says they should give up the fight and return home. This, of course, is meant to be a ploy for them to then say, "Oh no, we'll fight," and then it leads on, of course, to more interesting things in Book 3. Hos araphonesas bules ex arche, and thus having spoken. Now the arche plus infinitive, literally he began to go, this is from archo, and neestai from neamai without contraction. So he began to go from, and the ex goes with the bules, out from the assembly. You could take it as a preverb with neamai. So he began to go out from the boule, from the council, I should say, not the assembly, from the council. Hoide, but they, ep anestesan, this is from histemi plus ana plus ep. So, but they arose and they obeyed, this is patho in the middle. Now it's imperfect without augment. So they began to obey, or they were obeying the shepherd from poimen, laon of the people. And who is the subject of this? It is the skeptukoi basileis, the scepter holding. You can see the scaped root, skeptron root here, and the uk from echo. So the scepter holding kings, they stood up and they obeyed the shepherd of the people. Ep esuon ta laoi, and the host, that is the rest of the people, that refers to all of the Achaians. Episuon ta, they hastened after them, from suo, and then the epi for after. So the host or the people hastened after them. Ute enthia hesimelisaon hardinaon. We now get a simile. You get lots of these in Homer, and in fact, interestingly, there weren't any in the first book. This is the first simile in the Iliad, which is interesting just to note here. So aute like, so they were like. Now the asin, so they went, I think this is Amy Ibo, so that they went out like to the ethnia, nations of hardinaon, swarming. It's literally, hardinos means thick or dense, so dense groups of bees. Now the enthia does mean nations, perhaps hordes might be good. So they went like to the hordes of, probably translate this as swarming bees, literally dense group of bees, swarming bees. And then in apposition to that, is the participle here from erkamai. And you can see it goes with that because of the aon, it's uncontracted, so it's form here. So as they come anew or afresh continually, so as they continually come afresh, always or continually, from the hollow rock. Botridon de petontai, ep anthesi e arinoisi. So they fly. Interesting adverb here. It's to do with botrus, which is a bunch of grapes. So we might say in a cluster. So they fly in a cluster, a bit like a bunch of grapes, onto the spring flowers. So they fly in a cluster on or almost against or on the spring, onto the spring flowers. And they, now pepota atai, now there's that atai again for ntai. This is connected with petamai. This is the perfect middle here, I think. So they, halis, in great numbers, in sufficient numbers. So in great numbers, we get we get high men and high deer. So some of them have flown there in sufficient here in sufficient numbers, and others there. And the high is referring to these bees. From Melissa is the noun we had up here. This is the, I should have mentioned it there perhaps, this is the uncontracted genitive. So in later Greek you learn that own is the genitive plural for the masculine, feminine and neuter. But in fact in the feminine the original ending was aon, showing the feminine ending, and then it gets contracted, and then you only see the own in later Greek. So this is from Melissa, a bee, and this is the genitive plural. That's why we get this participle here, again genitive plural with the aon, and they're high. So some of them were flying in sufficient numbers here and others there. Well, so I should say have flown from pepotatai. Now, so that's the comparison, and now he says hose thus. So that's what the bees do, and now he's comparing it with the host of the Achaians. So thus, the enthia, the hordes, it's the same word we had above here. Thus, the hordes of them. Now this is a little bit tricky here. The main verb here is estikoonto. It's from stikamai. It's actually an alpha contracted. You get alphas and omicrons in these contract verbs often jump back and forth. So this is from stikamai. It means to proceed in formation. A stikos is a sort of line of men. It's a military formation. You get stigomithia, for example, in tragedy, meaning one line after another. So thus many of the nations, or many of the hordes, understand of men, proceeded in formation. This is in front of the deep. Aonos is the beach. So they marched in front of the deep beach from the ships and the tents. I think I've got all of that right there. Yep. So thus did the horde of men, that's the tone, march in formation in front of the deep beach, the shoreline, from the neon, from the ships and from the tents. Iladon, another military term, and ilas is another one of these formations or companies. I think it's a hila, or hile is the noun, meaning a company. So hiladon is one of these adverbs ending in adon. So in company, and they marched ace agoran into the gathering. Well, you can say marketplace, but I think probably here into the gathering place might be better. Metadespisi ossa de dei otrinus ianai. And now here we've got a capital O for ossa. Ossa means a rumour, generally a divine one, but a rumour. Now the dei is a pluperfect from dio, to, well, literally to burn. For among them, rumour had burnt, literally, had been ignited, otrunus, stirring them up with the intention of stirring them up, Iani, to go. And then in apposition to Ossa, Ossa is the angelos dios, the messenger of Zeus. So this, their DA, it's like our expression, spread like a flame. So, so rumour had spread like a flame among them, being about to, with the intention of stirring them up. It's a future participle, to go. Ossa, or rumour, the messenger of Zeus. Hoi de ageron to, this is from agero with the iota removed, and it's a weak verb, so this must be imperfect without augment here. And they began to gather, tetrake de agora. This is a funny form here. It's connected with there's a verb terrasso, to disturb or to confuse. There's another form of that, thrasso, and this is probably connected with thrasso, but we've lost the theta here, possibly because of the chi by Grassmann's law. So the sense is the place of gathering was thrown into it was in confusion, it was in a state of confusion. It's probably a pluperfect here of some sort. Had been placed in a state of confusion, and the earth, this is from Stanakizdo, literally was groaning below from the host sitting down. So when the host sat down, the earth was groaning below. Homidos Dane. You get these little short bits here because it's meant to show the confusion of everything. Homidos Dane here, for there was a homidos, probably here something like a murmur of voices. There was a noise, there was such a noise. Eniadespheas Caracus Boontos ete. And 9 heralds, eretuon, this is imperfect here, so we're trying to, 9 heralds crying out, we're trying to restrain them. Apot autes skoiat. Now this again, this skoiat, this is an optative aorist, and it's the nto ending, so this is actually third person plural. And so if perchance, if ever, skoiat, they might restrain them, so hold them back. This is third person plural, it's referring to these 9 heralds. Autes, notice the diaeresis mark here, it's not autes, it's autes. Autes is the din or noise, often used of a battle cry. I think I didn't perhaps do it up properly here. Let me perhaps quickly just do that bit again in case I didn't have the text there in front of you. So they were gathered together, and the marketplace was in turmoil, and the earth, so when the host was sitting down, the earth groaned underneath, and there was homidos, there was a lot of noise. And the 9, so a murmur of voices or something, and the 9 heralds crying out were trying to restrain them, if ever they might hold them back from autes, from their crying out, from the noise, from the clamour, perhaps is good there for that. So if perchance, if ever, they might restrain them from their clamour. Achaians, and they were listening to, and that they might listen to, it's almost, this will be an optative here, it's almost in order that they might, there's no hina here, but in order that they might listen to the kings who were reared of Zeus, looked after by Zeus. spude de hesitot laos. And the people were sitting down, spude, probably here with, well, perhaps with haste. Some people translate this as with difficulty. Spudasdo is to hasten, so I thought perhaps the people were sitting down with haste, but it may be with difficulty. You need to check commentary on that one. Aeroterthen, this again is then for thesan. They were being, well, this could be, it's passive, it could be passive for middle here. So it's certainly thesan, it's the third person plural. So it could be they restrained themselves, cathedras, in their places, in their seats, having ceased from the clange, from the noise. Or if you take it as passive, it'll mean they were restrained, cathedras, in their places, having ceased from their noise. Let's move this up to the end here so we don't miss out on again. So from their noise. Ana decreon Agamemnon este skeptron ekon. And Lord, or ruling, Lord Agamemnon. Now the ana goes with the ekon. Goes with the este here. It's a preverb. So from anhistemi. So he stood up, ekon, holding the scepter. The scepter, now tot here is for relative pronoun, which Hephaestus, Kame is from kamno. It's an aorist here, without augment. It means to labour at. And tukon is just a participle from tuko, making. So we would say which Hephaestus laboured at when he made it, as he was making it. And Hephaestos, now we get a men and det down here. Hephaestos gave it, on the one hand, to Zeus, to Lord Zeus, the son of Kronos. This is an adjective here, the Cronian Lord Zeus, so Zeus the son of Kronos, but as Greek often does this as an adjective. But accordingly Zeus, doke for edoke, gave it to Diactoro Agefonte. This is the slayer of Argus. You need to look up the myths on that one. The slayer of Argus, who was the Diactoro. There's some debate about this, often translated the conductor. The sense is that this is, of course, Hermes, which we get on the next line. Hermes is the one who conducts the souls of the dead to Hades. So Zeus gave it to the conductor, the slayer of Argus. You get Argus here, and then you get the fon root from pheno, to kill. And Hermes, Lord Hermes, gave it to Pelops, the Plexippo. This is the from pleso, to strike, and hippos, the striker of horses, the smiter of horses. One of those interesting epithets you get in Homer. But Pelops gave it then a tray to the son of Atreus. To Atreus. Pelops then gave it to Atreus, the shepherd of the people. And Atreus, Thnaskon, having died, he left it to Thyestes. This is dative here from Thyestes, who was Polyarni, literally one who had many sheep, so rich in flocks. But he, now the Thuest, there's an alpha missing here, elided. Thuestar for Thuestes, it's just a variant of the Thuestes, but Thyestes left it. This is an imperfect here, for Agamemnon, Phoreini is an epexegetic infinitive here from phoreo, to carry or to bear. So he left it for Agamemnon. So Thyestes was the son of Pelops, and Thyestes was in fact the uncle of Agamemnon. So he left it for Agamemnon Phoreini to carry or to bear. And to rule, and this again is an interesting use of the infinitive here. It's almost as a way of ruling. So for the ruling, the infinitive originally was an old dative, and so it's for the purpose of ruling here. I think many islands, which is interesting. I'm not sure which islands he was in control of, but all of Argos. So he left it to him to carry, so as to be able to rule, for the ruling of many islands and all of Argos. And that is the next section of Book 2.